conservative new media viewers and Jeremy Lin fans around the world. What is up? It's me, PFV, Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert, and we're here today to talk about something that is on my mind. I've done a lot of looking around today regarding Jeremy, reading a couple different articles. I just saw something new that Dwight Howard said, and I'll get to that in a second. And I have to tell you guys that I'm starting to get a bad feeling about things as regards Jeremy and the Rockets. And look, you know that I try to be positive in my videos. I try to be calm to help you guys to be calm. I know a lot of people are upset about Jeremy not starting in the game in Manila. And I've tried to be reasonable about this and kind of take the high road, this type of thing. I'm starting to feel something a little bit different. And this is just my opinion. But I'll get into a little bit of where I'm coming from with this as I make this video, as we go through this video. I want to say Tom Hill in Japan. Yes, this is another one of the Paul hypothetical specials, as was the tangent I went on about how Jeremy ended up in Aspen, Dwight Howard and all that. So yes, this does fall into that category. Let me just say something else quick here too before I get into this topic. Again, I'm interacting with a lot of you guys in the comments of the videos and on Twitter now as well. I just want to let you know I'm not always around, so if I don't answer you on Twitter quickly, if I don't get back to you in the comments quickly, I'm not trying to diss anybody or blow anybody off. There's only so many hours in the day, and I just can't get to everything all at once. So I will try to get to everybody, certainly on Twitter. So I just ask for your patience in that. Okay, now why am I feeling this way? Where did this come from? What I've noticed in a couple of different articles today, and I don't really want to point out specific articles because I like these people and some of the work that they've done. What I noticed in a couple of the articles today, or in the last, today I guess, is it the writers around the team, around the Rockets, some of the writers anyway, and some of the media people around the team, they're starting to push back on the Lin fans. What do I mean by that? I mean that they're pointing out in a negative way, in my opinion, that the Lin fans aren't happy Jeremy didn't start. In other words, they're making light of it, saying things like, oh, Jeremy's so calm about this. Why can't his fans be calm? This type of thing. Look, I've been in and around the media. I've done work in public relations. I understand techniques in writing and in rhetoric. And somebody mentioned this in the comments, and I don't remember who it was, but it was a very good point. And I am starting to agree with this person. The person said that they felt as though the team, meaning the Rockets, was starting to condition Lin fans so that they can demote Jeremy Lin. And I didn't really believe that completely when I read that comment, but I'm starting to believe it a little bit more. And when I read these articles, and I saw another thing on a different media individual around the team. It's like, that's kind of what it feels like here. It feels like they're basically trying to tell the Lin fans, hey, settle down. Jeremy's he's cool with it. You need to be cool with it too. Now, I will say that, but I want Jeremy Lin to remain the starter. And not everybody has that agenda. Again, I'm not putting down any writers or anything. You have to understand, when you're around a team and you cover a team, you get a lot of your information from the team. In other words, people, coaches, front office people, you might get information from them. Sometimes those people want you to put out a certain message. So I'm starting to feel like there's a message coming through here. And I don't like it. And it's not just about Jeremy should be benched or any of this. I'm starting to think there's more to this, or there could be more to it. And I don't like it. So, as you can see in the title of this video, if Jeremy's benched, if Jeremy becomes the backup, well, you don't have to go too many degrees of separation from that to get to the point where, well, Jeremy's a backup now, and his contract's pretty big. I wonder what we could do about this if we're the Rockets. And there's all these ideas in the air about how it would really be great if the Rockets had another star. And, well, those Jeremy Lin fans, they're really intense. Maybe it'd be easier if we didn't have to deal with them. Well, how do you solve that issue? How do you solve all those issues? You solve all those issues by getting rid of Jeremy Lin. Dwight Howard, somebody put this up on Clutch Fans just a few minutes ago. I guess Dwight was asked about the point guard situation. And I think he said something like, look, it doesn't matter who starts. Now, if I were Dwight, that's what I would say too. We've talked about Dwight and how Dwight likes Jeremy and supports Jeremy and all this. And I believe that. Or at least I did believe it. I do not expect Dwight Howard to come out and say Jeremy should start. You can't say that. Dwight Howard can't come out and say that because you can only get bad things from doing that. When you take all of this different information together, and I thought about another thing. McHale, when he made this decision that he was going to start Patrick Beverley, how come we only heard about that at the last minute? Now, he can sit there and say, well, we were always going to do this or whatever. And you could say, well, we didn't want to say it before we sold the tickets in Manila. I don't think anybody would admit that, even if that is what they were planning. If they wanted to help the NBA out and the fans in Manila want to see Jeremy, well, you don't mention it perhaps until after the tickets are sold and it's almost game time. But when I think about this a little bit, and I think, well, where did that come from? How come we didn't hear anything about that before? The only reason, besides the kind of things that I'm thinking, would be to sell tickets. You don't mention it until the tickets are sold and it's almost game time. That is possible. But if that wasn't the reason, then I'm even feeling a little bit worse about Jeremy's situation. Because then it's like, well, where'd this come from? This came from out of nowhere. And it's like, well, maybe we're starting to walk down that road. We're starting to walk down Demotion Avenue. And look, it is a demotion. Yeah, you can, of course, you do need a good sixth man. As I said, that is important. And I will say this. I hope I'm wrong about this. I like Jeremy with the Rockets a lot. But I'm starting to get a bad feeling about this. And again, I'm not making videos just to get hits and play the hypothetical game and what if, just to, if you can do what if, you can say anything you want. And if you have an opinion, you can say anything you want. You control for hits. That's not what this is. I'm actually starting to get a bad feeling about this. Given how the organization is, and that Daryl Morey is a wheeler and dealer, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that he is constantly looking to make trades and upgrade the talent level. Given this kind of out of the blue, all of a sudden Jeremy and Patrick Beverley are alternating starts. Given what Jeremy's salary is compared to what Patrick Beverley's salary is, Joyce Ward sent me a thing where somebody that went to the game in Manila made a post, and they were like, hey, this is what I saw. These are the groups that hang out. And it's like one group apparently is Patrick Beverley, James Harden, Dwight Howard, and I don't know, somebody else. And Jeremy's not in that group. And that's okay. And people can hang out who they want to hang out with. But, well, if people start talking and you're hanging out with groups and, it could be something like James Harden. Again, I mean, somebody could mention something like, well, if we didn't have Jeremy's contract and we didn't have Omer Asik's contract, maybe we can get LaMarcus Aldridge. Maybe we can do this. Maybe somebody's friends with another player and they want to bring that player in. Again, I don't want to put anybody down here, put words in people's mouth. But I don't like what I'm feeling now. And again, you guys know me. I'm steady, relatively steady. I'm starting to get a bad feeling about this. I'm starting to think, look, there has not been very much difference between the performances of Jeremy and Patrick Beverley. There really hasn't been in these first couple games. Which is to say, Patrick Beverley is not clearly better than Jeremy, in my opinion. Certainly not. Well, if he's not clearly better, then why are you trying to push him as the starter? Okay, maybe it's because you need help with the bench and Jeremy can get more people playing well. McHale did say something to that effect, and I agree with that. But again, you have to look into the future in these types of things. And one thing leads to another. Jeremy gets demoted. All of a sudden, you got a big contract on the bench. Well, maybe you can get rid of that contract. And again, maybe you're tired of Jeremy's fans and how they're constantly putting pressure on you to play Jeremy. Maybe it'd be a little bit easier for everybody if he's not on the team anymore and you don't have to deal with him. Maybe McHale doesn't like the way Jeremy plays in terms of his style, as I've talked about in different videos. Look, I brought this up the other day. I brought this up that Jeremy's contract and everything could be an issue, especially when Patrick Beverley's not getting paid very much. Well, Jeremy can become an expensive luxury. And if you're serious about contending and you've got a couple contracts that you might not need in Asik and Jeremy, well, you might think about dealing them. And so sometimes people do things indirectly. They might want to do a particular thing, but they can't do it overtly. They can't do it out in the open, so they'll do it covertly, more of a hidden fashion. And what I'm thinking about here is if Daryl Morey or the team wants to move Jeremy, they want to trade him, well, if they do that and they do it straight out, they're going to have a lot of backlash. or they could suffer a lot of backlash, which is exactly what they're going through now after the Manila thing. Well, what do you think is going to happen to them if they trade him? So if you want to do that, if that's your end goal, how do you do it? You do it step by step. And this is what the commenter pointed out. You conditioned people to it. Just a little bit at a time. Oh, we're just gonna see different combinations. We're just gonna try different lineups. Hey, and then all of a sudden that's step one, and then step two is, wow, did you see that video? Patrick Beverley destroys Drew Holiday. And that's step two. And step three is, can kind of see Patrick Beverley as the starter. That's step three. Pretty soon, Jeremy's on the bench. And then step four is, you know what, man, Rockets sure do have a lot of money sitting on the bench. Imagine if they could turn that money into another star. So I'm starting to feel we're going down that road seriously. Again, I hope I'm wrong. I don't want any panic from you guys. I don't want you to feel that way. I don't want any, people to go nuts on, tweeting Daryl Morey or anything. And what are you doing? We have to be calm. Look, if this happens, if the Rockets want to do this, if they want to get rid of Jeremy, good. And this is what we've been talking about. There's been a persistent feeling by many of you, and believe me, I've felt it a lot myself. The organization hasn't been great to Jeremy since he came back. He came back, and this kind of goes to, again, the Morey and different. Morey is an opportunist, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Morey, they got Lin. They wanted to be relevant again. Jeremy's coming off of Lin's sanity. The Rockets have an excellent marketing foundation in Asia, and they want to keep it. Well, if you're not going to be that good or whatever, how about signing Jeremy? And they did that. But what is it, 2 months or whatever after that? Now you got James Harden. Your whole plan's changed. Well, now maybe Jeremy's not as important. So the Rockets they're always in deal-making mode. And that means you're not necessarily going to have a lot of stability in the organization. And look, again, I'm not criticizing the organization. That's a strategy. If they want to run it that way, then that's how they can run it. But if you're on the fringes of that, if you're not one of the stars that they're building around, then you might not fit. And it might not be a good situation for you. I've said over and over again that I want Jeremy on the Rockets because they're a good team. And if they do well and he's part of it, he's going to get credit. And look, I like the Rockets. I'm a Rockets fan, and I know Jeremy's good, and he can help the team. But, again, coming back to this, if the Rockets are like this, if they are always in a high turnover mode of their roster, and Jeremy's no longer the centerpiece or one of the main guys, well, maybe it is best if he moves on. And go somewhere where he just doesn't have to deal with this stuff. When he came back last year, again, apparently somebody in the organization, or I think, I'm not sure about that, supposedly there was a rumor or word out there that maybe Jeremy didn't rehabilitate his knee that hard. And on and on. We went through all that. Now we're here at this. So it's like the first year we had to go through all that stuff. And now we got to go through this. And look, let's be honest here. And I hate to say this because I'm a Rockets fan. A lot of Rockets fans haven't treated Jeremy that well. And it's extremely disappointing to me as a Rockets fan. It's really aggravating to see it. And you know what I'm talking about. You know some of where this goes on at various corners of the internet. Jeremy's never been embraced by the fan base in Houston, or by a lot of them. And you know what? Does he need that? No. This is why I'm always trying to tell you guys, the important thing for Jeremy is do your own thing. Improve your game. Keep working. And that's it. He can't control what the general manager is going to do, what the coach is going to do. He can't control if the organization's going to value him or not. So just do what you can do. The great thing for Jeremy is he got paid. He got his contract. That contract remains. He's going to make his $25 million, and that's it. He's set. And he can play. He's going to get another contract. Maybe it's a smaller contract, but he has a place in the league. There's no question about that. Anybody that argues against that they don't understand basketball. That's the easiest way to say it. So, Jeremy has a better baseline state or status right now. He is healthy. He is wealthy. And he's in a much better place. Mentally, he's more calm. He's feeling good about his situation. He's surrendering more just to things he can't control. So, look, if you take all these things together, prepare yourself for perhaps a different situation. Now, look, as long as Jeremy's with the team, he is going to want to be a good teammate, do what's asked of him, don't make a spectacle, don't trade demands and all this stuff. I like Omer Ashik, but some of the way he's handled stuff may not necessarily be the greatest public relations strategy. Jeremy doesn't want to do any of that, and he's not doing it, which is great. It's good because that's the right way to handle things, but it's also good because it helps his image. But I do think, I'm starting to think more and more that this might be what's happening. That the long-term goal here could be to trade him. And so then you're working backwards from that. And I'm starting to get a feeling that that's what the team might be doing. And if that is what's happening, it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be fun to watch. People are going to get mad. And so it's better to talk about it now. Again, we talked before, the preparation, making the preparation videos. So, hey, Jeremy could get benched. Well, now let's talk about if the team might be looking at trying to trade him, and this could be a step towards that. So I want to say it now because I want to get it out there before it happens. I want to be able to look back at this and say, yep, we knew this was coming. We saw this coming. And look, again, working in different things that I know about and that I've learned, I've seen this type of thing before. Kind of where you can see a long-range plan coming together in the early stages. And again, that's why I'm making this video now. I don't want to alarm anybody, but I think we may have to start looking at this a little bit more seriously. Again, I hope I'm wrong. And I hope that everything's going to work out fine. Jeremy's going to remain the starter, and he's going to stay in Houston. But based upon, again, some of what I'm reading, some of what I'm seeing, I'm starting to think that that might not be the case. And, I don't like it. I don't. Why even bring this guy in? This isn't fair. Okay, you got James Harden and everything changed. I understand that. I know the situation changed and everything, but if you're going to do something like this, just get it over with. But again, because of public relations considerations and trying to avoid backlash, they can't do it like that. They have to. They would probably want to go about it like this if that's what's going on. It's really annoying from a fan's perspective and everything, because it's like watching a train crash in slow motion. You see it coming, but you can't stop it. You can't do anything about it. So it's like, do we have to do it this way? Do we have to go through the steps of Jeremy getting dissed or whatever? If you want him out of there, get rid of him. Get rid of him. Maybe they're not sure if they want him out yet. I don't know. But this is, I will say, and Melody Ting, many of you guys have said this, the organization has never shown complete faith in him. Now, they might say that they had a reason to do that. They might say he didn't look good last year, he didn't have his confidence last year, etc. So, and they might be right about that. Maybe they're right. In other words, they're allowed to feel that way. But again, if you don't value him, if you don't think he's good, if he's not in your future plans, then get rid of him. Don't play games. Don't play a charade. Now, I haven't mentioned the haters yet, and I don't want to mention them. I was just over at Clutch Fans recently, 30 minutes ago or something, and I was telling somebody on there, a poster named KCD, look, don't let the haters get to you. Of course, if Jeremy gets demoted, if Jeremy gets traded, they're going to throw a party. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This isn't about the haters. So I said, don't fight imaginary fights. Just fight the fights that are meaningful. The bottom line for Jeremy is his career. Not to defeat the haters. Just what does he need to do? What does he need to take care of? That's why I think he's doing so much better this year. I know he mentioned this, and I think his testimony and in some of the interviews. Last year, he wanted to prove people wrong. He wanted to do well for his supporters. Now he's not thinking about all that stuff anymore, negative or positive. He's not thinking about doing well for his supporters. He's not thinking about silencing the haters. He's playing for God, and he's just playing. That's what he should do. That's what he should do. That's the way you're going to get the best success. Don't get caught up in the talking and everything that's outside of your control and of your sphere. Don't worry what everybody else is saying on the outside. Just do what you have to do. It's again, that's what I would say to you guys. Don't worry about the haters. Don't worry about them. It doesn't matter what they think. It really doesn't. So if this happens, sure, they're going to be happy. It doesn't matter. If this occurs, if he's demoted and he's traded, Jeremy hopefully gets to go to an organization that believes in him and would let him play his game. But look, I like him in Houston. In addition to they're a good team, I like him having to work on his game and working in an offense that's not made for him and having to compete for a spot. All those things are going to help him. On the other hand, I think now he's at the point in his career and in his development where he's ready to really put the work in and improve, and he doesn't need to be pushed anymore. Now, being pushed is a good thing in general. There's never not a good time for that, usually. But I think he knows now what he needs to do. And so he doesn't need to be in a difficult situation in order to do the work or be pushed anymore. I think he could be in a situation that's easier and still he's going to put the work in. So I don't know, this is just what I'm thinking about. I saw what Dwight said. I read a couple of these articles kind of lashing out in some ways against the Lin fan group. And I just started thinking, this could be what this is. This could be the first step in a plan to basically get rid of Jeremy from the team. And so I wanted to share it. And I do have a bit of a bad feeling as regards this. I hope I'm wrong, but knowing some of the principles in this situation and some of the similar situations to this, I am starting to get that feeling. I am starting to get that feeling. Look, we'll see. Maybe this will all blow over. Maybe Patrick and Jeremy alternate starts for another couple of weeks, and McHale comes out and says, "Excuse me, Jeremy is my starter." And the fairy tale goes happily ever after from there. I hope that happens. But I'm going to start preparing a little bit for it not to happen. And again, not just that he's not the starter, but that he might not be with this team a whole bunch longer. And as I said, I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. This is why I want to focus on the long-term stuff with him. I don't want to focus on what team is he on and the day-to-day stuff. I mean, we'll pay attention to it, and it matters, but how does he get to a position in his development where his skills are good enough, he's established enough, or he's not going to have to go through this anymore? And that's really the goal. That's the goal here. Of course, you want to be on a contender for the championship. You want a team that's good, and you don't want to play for a bad team on this. But if you're a fan of Lin, you're a fan of him. You want him to do well. So the team is important, but the most important thing, if you like Jeremy, is to have him in a situation where he can do well, he can thrive, where he's trusted, he's respected, and this type of thing. So it doesn't have to be in Houston. That's why I've kind of just let that go a little bit. It doesn't have to be in Houston. That's why I say what I say in the different videos. If an organization does him wrong again, well, just go to a different organization. Don't worry about it. I said the Rockets signed Jeremy. They made him wealthy. So I'm not mad with them. I wish things would be a little different right now and they treat him with a little bit more respect. But they're allowed to do what they want to do, and they're going to do it. So, that's what it is. But we will focus on where he might go. Then, if this does progress towards that conclusion, we will focus on where can he go, where would be a good situation for him. What does he have? This is the second year of a 3-year deal. So, He has 2 years to play out. And then I guess he'd be a free agent and go from there. So he's not really in control of the process of where he's going to go until then. But in this amount of time, regardless of what happens, regardless of whether he's benched or is the starter or he's traded, just stay steady, try to stay healthy, and continue to work on your game and be a good teammate. And that's what Jeremy's doing. Again, he's much calmer this year from just based upon what he has said. And he looks like that. He doesn't look like he's healthy. He doesn't look like he's under a ton of stress right now. Good. He's competing with Patrick, but he seems to be handling it well. So just keep going. Don't worry about what other people are going to do and what their decisions are going to be. If the Rockets want to demote him and they want to trade him, then they're going to do that, regardless of what we say and how bad it makes us feel. So just like Jeremy, we have to stay in our running lane. Like in a race, you have to run in your lane. You can't run in someone else's lane. You got to run your lane. We got to stay in our lane. Don't worry about things we can't control. And wish for the best for Jeremy so that he can continue to improve and be in a better circumstance as time goes on, regardless of what happens with Houston. That's the way to approach it. That's the way to approach it. And again, I do think that Jeremy is looking at things that way, and that's why he has much more peace of mind. I just wanted to share this. I do feel a little bit of this right now. I am starting to change my mind on this a little bit, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all, actually. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's a smart decision if Houston does it, honestly. But it does happen. I've brought up the examples of Steve Nash and other people. It does happen. It can happen. And teams do make mistakes. So just keep going. Just keep moving. And I won't be happy if it happens. I won't be happy watching it if he's demoted and hearing haters talk and hearing people speculate about trades, but I'm not going to get worked up about it too much. That's why I want to just get my feelings out on this right now so I can just start to turn perspective towards that and that it might happen and just kind of achieve that kind of Zen calmness now before some of this might happen. And that's about it. We'll see what you guys think about this. I know some of you already believe this, that this is happening, and that's what this is. And I'm starting to agree with you a little bit more, and more than I was. Until this happens, if it happens, I'm just going to approach the games and the news just the way that it is. I'm not going to come back to this constantly. I want to stay positive and not look around every single corner that we come across while whatever. Now, if we start seeing more signs or start hearing more things, then we'll talk about it more and go over it a little bit further. But for now, hopefully we don't have to think about it too much. Of course, if the season begins and Jeremy's demoted, then we will have to think about it a lot more. But we'll take it as it comes. We'll cross the bridge when we come upon it. That's where our mind's at. Thumbs up, thumbs down, your comments below. We encourage you to come and join the Conservative New Media Facebook group, which has over 2,500 members and counting. You will find information for that in the video description below the video player. You'll also find information for our Jeremy Lin videos Twitter account. I'm curious what you guys think. Where do you stand on this? Do you think this is going to happen? Do you want it to happen? When is it going to happen? My thinking is if it's going to happen, it probably happen around the trading deadline or something like this. Maybe they get somebody like a LaMarcus Aldridge, some player that's good, that's a star, that could give them a better chance to compete for a championship right now or in the future. Not that Jeremy doesn't, but they might think someone else does. Or they might have some all-star in mind that they might want to trade for. Look, there's already been information out there about getting rid of Asik. I think Asik has said he wanted out, and the team, I believe, has looked at the possibility of getting rid of him. So it's out there. Things are out there. They will continue to be out there. Let's talk about it. I'll come down to the comments, and we'll go from there. It is right now, it's about 5:55 p.m. here on the East Coast of the United States on Friday, October 11, 2013. That means it is about 5:55 a.m. early on Saturday, October 12th in Taipei, Taiwan, and in Manila, the Philippines. Hope everybody's doing well. Have a great day or great night wherever you are when you watch this video. I will talk to you soon, and I will see some of you in the comments shortly.